Hello again, and I have to say sadly that this is number 10 of our entrepreneurial course, and it's the last one in the series. I hope you've enjoyed it. It'd be nice to hear from you if you had, so if you want to drop me a line, please do that and tell me what you think. If there's anything I can help with, I'll try. So, last one. But let's just first of all check where our route has taken us and look at where we've been. So that's in front of you now on your screen. You can see where we've gone. And today, your first entrepreneurial step. Maybe it's your first business. Maybe you've never started anything before. What I'm saying today is let me encourage you to have a go. So today's pathway, if you like, there's lots of things that I'd like to talk about today, and some things that perhaps a bit negative. There's lots of times I've been to those meetings that they say this is for Christian businessmen, and I always want to groan because I want to think to myself, what do we mean by that? And I have to be very honest and say many of them I have been to, I can't for the life of me understand why they would call themselves Christian businessmen. What does that mean? I think a Christian, if you're a Christian business company, if you like to call it that, then you ought to be good at knowing how to glean. And we'll talk about that later. I want to talk as well about totally new and original direction, and I'd like to look at a friend of mine called Louie and consider his latest YouTube videos, Fun for Louie. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about Elon Musk and his SpaceX. I want to talk to you about emotion. People don't know enough about emotion, and it's such an important area. And remember, and we've said this a lot of times, everything big starts small. Acorns grow big oak trees. What kind of business or project is it that you would like to do? We're going to talk a little bit about a business plan, and we're going to talk a little bit about, I hope you don't mind these anachronisms, SWOT analysis, and what's called a smart plan. And all those business people out there put those things into their planning. So, first, a couple of words of advice. Don't call yourself a Christian businessman. Just be a follower of Jesus. Work your dream and allow others to put the title crown on you, whatever that might be. I do get somewhat concerned when people classify themselves as Christian businessmen or say they are running a Christian business. As I say, what on earth does that mean? I sit and wonder what it makes to make a Christian business. Many times I've been with these people and I can't see any difference to any other business. It's just a label which may or may not mean anything. It's often far from what a real follower of Jesus would actually do, and that's the key. If we're going to make these claims, we must demonstrate values and ethos and a working practice that echoes what a follower of Jesus would do. I.e., if we employ people, we need to treat them with respect and not merely a part of what the business people call the bottom line. So you can see on your screen there what I think the labels ought to look like. Gleaning, I said right at the beginning, we'll talk a little bit about gleaning. If you've got to go back into the Old Testament, and there was a sort of rule that in the Old Testament times, you're going back 3,000 years probably at least, the people who owned the fields and grew all the crops that they were going to sell and so on, they were always instructed to not be too fussy about bits of corn and wheat and whatever that fell out. And they were told to leave that at the edge of the fields. The idea was that people who were poor, it's a bit like modern day food bank, if you like. The idea was that people who had nothing and had no money and had no resources, didn't own fields, could go and glean. In other words, they could collect the leftovers that was theirs for free. They could live and use it. And that's a good ethos. So I always worry when people look at and say, well, it's about the bottom line. It really shouldn't be. It should be about a value system that is beneficial to the community and to other people. Um, I often said, can I say something a bit nasty here? I've often found that people who claim that title of Christian are the worst in this area. But I think if you read scripture and look at the analysis of what Jesus is like, he is incredibly generous. God is a generous God. And I think if we want to be like him, we ought to be generous. So I would say be extraordinarily generous. And sometimes it's actually a lot of fun. I remember my wife just locally here where we live, standing in a line, and the poor guy at the front hadn't got the right money. He was short of about, I think, £5 for his bill. And it was holding us about 20 people in the line. Couldn't move because the argument between my wife and the person standing at the till and the lady who's pressing the buttons on the till won't let him move and won't let anything go on. In the end, my wife walked forward and said, "What's the problem?" "He's £5 short." So she pulled the £5 out, put it on the counter. She says, "There you are, I'll pay for that." He said, "So, thank you very much." And then the queue moved on. She just about finished paying for hers, and the man turned back up. He said, "I only live around the corner. I just didn't have enough money," and gave her 20 quid. So sometimes those things can be really profitable. Be generous. Sometimes we may need to lose money to gain people. If you look at Jesus, he obviously knew that Judas was stealing from the collection money that the team, if you like, the disciples held. Read John 12:6, and you can see that he was actually, he knew that was going on, but just lives with it. Amazing. So those are some of my what can I say, things that I worry about sometimes in terms of our terminology. So having said all that, how do we get started? So are you going to market a new product that is not being seen before? It'll need a lot of demanding work to persuade people that this newfangled idea is just what they want or need. Not only do we need to be extravagantly generous, we need to be extravagantly creative. I want you to watch The Ingenious Man and then discuss how does he earn his money doing this. This is the friend I told you about right at the beginning.
Good morning, guys. It's day 5. Is it day 5? I don't really know. I think it's day 5 of the Live the Adventure Africa trip. We are in the Samara Game Reserve, which is like a 12-hour drive. Well, it took us 12 hours yesterday from Cape Town. And it's a bit of a lazy day today because it's raining, unfortunately, but that's good for us. We're just lounging around. How are you guys doing?
Recovering.
Yeah.
I got a good night's sleep.
South Africa.
Oh, yeah.
Photo book.
Just looking up the animals. We're hopefully going to see some of these in the next couple of days.
Be up at 4 a.m. tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
From what I've heard.
Okay, so we're going to do an early morning game drive tomorrow, so making the most of it. How are you doing, Chelsea?
I'm so good.
Yeah?
I'm so cozy and happy.
Oh, that's cool.
It's raining, you guys.
Right, breakfast time. How's everyone doing?
So good.
Yeah?
We're so fresh. So well slept.
Have you seen any animals yet?
Just a bunch of spider.
Oh yeah, we saw a massive spider last night.
You're looking at your safari outfit.
I
You're
know.
like, you're ready.
This afternoon, the range are going to take you guys out. They're going to specifically look for the black and white rhino. Okay. So please make sure you wear closed shoes because we do tracking on foot.
Alright, laptop club is underway. This is cool. This is nice having some downtime. Time for lunch.
Oh.
You filming me screw this up? Yeah, maybe.
You can do it, Bryn. Oh, Bryn, you've made. Oh,
Listen.
that is. Oh,
For those
you
who don't know, I
failed.
used to be a chef, and this is a technique I call the massacre.
So at the back of the garden here, there's an electric fence with like thousands of volts going through it to stop the elephants getting in the garden. Well, you just put your hand on it?
Yeah, I was just chilling. I was watching him drone, and then I put my hand on it,
and all of a sudden I just jumped like a foot in the air, and like I literally like went unconscious for a second. I didn't even know what happened. I'm just like shook.
Oh my gosh.
It was insane.
It could have killed you, bro.
I know. I think it could have. I had no idea what happened, but that was like
Just now, literally just a second.
literally just now. I used to do this as like a kid because I went to camp and they had these like on the farms in the area.
But these are way higher voltage for the
We'd
elephants.
hold hands in it, like, you know,
Yeah.
This like literally almost like made me unconscious. It was crazy.
We've spent the entire morning chilling and getting work done. We're about to go out on our first game drive, some of which I think we're doing like a walking safari, and we're going to be tracking rhinos, and they have black and white rhinos here. And as you saw the other day, I've borrowed this amazing 150 to 600 Sigma lens, so I'm going to be trying to get some cool shots with this. I've never shot with a lens this big. This is crazy. We're going to drive to where the rhinos, the rough area the rhinos are in, and then we're going to track them with foot. Okay, perfect.
Are we allowed to sit in the tracking seat at all?
All right, we spotted our first animal.
It's a leghorn, leghorn or rock monitor.
Oh, monitor lizard, okay.
Yeah, monitor basically. So very typical. Look at that tongue.
Yeah, buddy.
No.
You could give a nasty bite, I reckon.
Well, they don't have teeth, but they have that typical lizard mouth, so they can draw blood. And then some people talk about the tail, they hit you with the tail. So they do get a little bit aggressive.
Bye, mate. So it's rare to see them like that.
Yeah, usually they run off faster, right? In the summer especially, they're very active. In the winter you don't see them at all because they're hibernating, so underground in rocks underneath.
And here we have a wild Bryn North.
Let's go.
Okay, we've just jumped out because we saw a tortoise walking across the road. This is a leopard tortoise, and they can grow up to 90 years old, I think. Getting some drone shots. We just spotted a monkey, but I think we ran into the bushes. I'm finding this lens pretty difficult to use. It's a lot of fun, but tricky. Are they this way, the rhinos?
Use these two straps as cover, so you can peel around to the sides, etc. If anything happens, leave your camera and get behind the shrub. Okay, just let that baby stand and get behind the shrub. Get behind me. Okay.
So this could be dangerous if things go wrong.
Well, potentially, always. I mean, that's
No rhino
2,000.
climbing.
What's the
2,000
statistic? It's like
kilograms.
2 out of 10 people make it out alive. So it's pretty risky.
Out of what?
Make it out alive after seeing a rhino.
We're slowly sneaking up to the rhinos. Hopefully we don't startle them. One of the rhinos, rhino is heading our way, so he's just a bit intrigued. Oh, we found the rhinos again.
Ooh, he looks pissed.
Oh. How's that, Nash?
Dude, I've never seen anything like this. You see rhinos too?
We saw rhinos, we didn't see the giraffe though.
Bro. Insane.
Yeah?
I've never been so calm in my life. I was like freaking out on the inside, but calm. It was nice.
Taylor, how are the giraffes?
Oh my gosh. Life changing. I think they're one of my favorite animals.
Can I help you?
Yeah.
Actually, read wine.
And now I'm lying.
Oh, this is so good. What a nice evening.
Like apple cider.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Some of the snacks we have tonight.
Oh shit!
What just happened? What just happened?
I'm sure it's fine.
You get the first time you did it?
Yeah.
You see it?
When you kiss me, heaven sighs and the way close my eyes, I see that you're closing. Hold me closer. You can. You're closing. When you kiss me, heaven sighs and the way close my eyes, I see that you're closing.
It's windy. Oh yes, bro. Okay, we've got our ponchos on. It's getting a bit chilly. Oh,
My nose red.
you girls
That's
look
the
so
indication
cute.
when it's really cold.
Okay, we have arrived back. It's dinner time. Apparently the dinner's outside.
Cola tonic and lemonade.
Oh, thank you.
You are.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is crazy. dinner's finished and we are getting around the fire pit for some deep chats. Every night we've been asking deep questions and all going around and answering to get to know each other. Yeah, this is the circle of trust.
Circle of trust. Say that to a bunch of people on social media.
Yeah. It's been an amazing day, doing some safari drives, seeing some beautiful animals. But this evening was even better for me that we could have dinner together in such a beautiful location. And then things got super deep after dinner. We had some really kind of vulnerable chats together, and I guess a big part of putting this whole trip on wasn't just about the luxury place we stayed in Cape Town and some of the activities we've been doing, and you know, I guess making the most of this as a trip, but also that being the foundation, or I mean that being the framework for us to get to know each other better and to build stronger friendships, and yeah, get deep and get chatting about real life and how to do things and how to change things. So anyway, things got deep tonight. There may have been tears, and yeah, I think it's good to get raw and real and build community. I feel like that's what we're doing. It's good. It's really good. And everybody seems to be enjoying themselves, and I'm glad that everything's working out, because this is the first trip of this scale that we've put on like this, and I'm hoping we can do many more. Anyway, I'm going to go to sleep now, and tomorrow we have to get up super early. We're getting up at like 5:30 for a morning game drive to find some elephants. So I'll see you then. Peace out. Enjoy life and live the adventure. Boom.
Ask yourself two big questions. In what way does the spirit of this film and Louie show the spirit of an entrepreneur? And secondly, what way is he defining in a 21st century, or where we live now, entrepreneur that could not have operated 50 years ago? You couldn't have done what Louie was doing 50 years ago. Probably couldn't have done it 20 years ago, but there you go. Have a look and tell me what you think. Here's Louie. Consider his genius, creativity, sense of adventure, and simply get up and go. And then think of the millions that subscribe to his vlog. You know, when I first met Louie, he was sleeping rough in a bus. Okay, now he's got enough money to buy his own plane. Are you entering a marketplace where others are already doing what you plan to do? So sometimes we look around and think, this is my idea, I want to do this, but there's lots of people doing that. Well, if that's the case, that's fine, but you need to demonstrate that you can do it better, better service, better delivery, or maybe just a better value system, a better ethos, a better culture that others have. And then you'll see that you can actually compete in a very overcrowded market. Elon Musk did something very strange with his SpaceX, and it's still going on. He improved the space business by simply doing what NASA had never ever dreamed of, i.e. he tied 3 rockets together. Nobody had ever thought of doing that. So there was already space rockets existing. They were already there. And he comes along and says, well, let's try. I mean, it's daft, really, isn't it? But it succeeded. It was an improvement on what was already invented. I've heard Elon Musk say as well that if we're going to do something in the market that's already overcrowded, not only must we do it better, but we must do it very much better. So we must go the extra mile, if you like. We must go further than anybody else has ever been before. It was a new idea and it worked. Now, this is an important area, and I want to talk about this a little bit. Aim for the emotions as strongly as you aim for the intellect. most people misunderstand, how important emotions are in our human relationships. Patrick Dixon, I've introduced you to Patrick before in this series. He says there are two things about products and services that every company makes a claim to. And you watch the advertising and you'll see that he's absolutely right. Every advert that you will see tells you that it will make a better world or life, something like that. It will touch your emotions. You know, I'm amazed what breakfast cereals will do for you. They can make you fit, they can make you healthy, they can improve your love life, and on and on. And it's just a breakfast cereal. One of the things that amazes me is how often clever people, both in business and in politics, ignore the emotion element of either a vote or a decision. Oftentimes I've looked at things and people and think, oh, well, that's the logical answer, but this is the emotional thing that's being affected. What will affect the vote? I tell you what, it's the emotion that will affect the vote. It's not the logic or the sensible thing. The product, it's not the emotion or the sensible thing, is how I feel. A friend of mine, Gerald Coates, he used to say, and he was in the marketing business, he used to say that what advertisers do is take away your self-respect, and then they sell back your self-respect for the price of the product that they're selling. Be very careful of advertising. I believe in it, but it's difficult. Our emotions need to be as educated as our intellect. It's important to know how much you feel, how to respond, and how to let life in so that it can touch you. We are emotional beings, and I don't want us to be anything else. But I've often said, it isn't emotions that really should control our decision-making process. It actually is the part of us that I call our will. Wills make the decisions. Our feelings can sometimes be ever so helpful, but sometimes feelings can be wrong. Often people do not act according to logic, but they do act according to emotion. And oftentimes that emotional reaction is not going to give you the best end result. However, it might give you the best end result if you're selling a product and you've got the emotional appeal right. And adverts almost always aim directly at the emotions. Look at this advertising from America, and what they're trying to do is to stop people getting fatter and fatter and heavier. And so they've got this advert, don't drink yourself fat. It's an emotional appeal, really, if you think about it. What's the appeal to pathos? Well, the emotional appeal is, and it's sad to see America becoming obese by drinking sugar and beverages. Are you pouring on the pounds? Yes, I am. A good definition of advertising is any paid form of non-personal presentation and promotion of ideas, goods or services through mass media, such as newspaper, magazines, television, radio, or by an identified sponsor. People often say to me, well, advertising doesn't work. It really does. We're all persuaded by it, even though we hope that we're not, even though sometimes we think that we're not. Right, when winning over possible sponsors, however, it's a paid form of deeply personal presentation and promotion of your idea, service or project through you as a presenter. It is truly a no-win, no-payment exercise. So you're trying to persuade people, this is me, this is what I've got, this is who I am. Emotionally, I can help you. Remember, number 5, everything big starts small. Do you remember earlier on in the course I talked about a friend of mine who wanted to open a fantastic business, and I listened to him. Actually, he was from West Africa. And I listened to him and I thought, this is a fantastic idea. I can see this working. But he planned to open a rabbit farm. And apparently it's a staple food there, as it was in the UK for many years. And he planned to sell all these rabbits. And he'd worked it out meticulously. But he wanted to start with a couple of £1 million, so he could not conceive of just a couple of rabbits. He just wanted the whole lot straight away. It doesn't work like that usually. Very rarely, I don't know anywhere where it has worked like that. It's always start small. So he didn't want any of this, just 2 rabbits. He wanted all of them all in one go. Everything big, start small. Alan Sugar, I don't know if you know who he is, but he started by selling firewood from an old pram. And he made a lot of money from it. He chopped it up, put it into bundles. He didn't sell it to individuals, he sold it to the shops, who then sold it on. And all he did was collect the firewood and put it into bundles and sell it. He got the firewood for free, by the way. Tesco started from a market stall, little tiny market stall. It's now one of the biggest supermarkets in the UK. Laura Ashley stores started from a garage. Branson, you know, Richard Branson, Virgin Airways and all that stuff. He was born in Blackheath, South London. And yes, you can see some of that stuff on the screen there. He said, there is no greater thing that you can do with your life and your work than follow your passion in a way that serves the world and you. I like reading people's stories of how they started. Richard Branson started his company. It was a small newspaper, a student newspaper actually, and he had a phone number for people to ring in to advertise and so on. The only thing about the phone number at that stage, it was the coin box at the end of the road, and he used to listen in the house, and when it rang, he'd run out and answer the phone as his company name. The call box on the corner of the street was his phone. He couldn't afford a proper one. We started the company that we're running at the moment, Phoenix Community Care, with just Pauline and myself, no staff. Now we employed, well, I don't know, 25 staff, I think it is, and a substantial turnover. They put me in a cupboard under the stairs in my house. That's how we actually started. So look at where you're going. Remember, and this is important, people do mix this up, turnover is not profit. So you can have 3 million turnover and make a loss. So turnover is not profit. And remember, if you've done my money course, the difference between a gross and net profit, people go, oh, we made a gross profit. I say, yes. And now you've paid your taxes and you've paid this, that, and all those expenses. Now you've made a loss. So, mate, it's possible to make a gross profit and a net loss. That's another world, another issue. Having chosen, what are you going to do? And being ready, are you ready to start small? Are you going to be a sole trader? Just you? The only thing I would say about sole traders is they're limited to you, and there's only so many hours in the day and only so many weeks so many days in a week, weeks in a year, and there is a limit to what one person can do. Is it a partnership? You're working with somebody else. Is it a not-for-profit company? So you're there to serve the community, to be a beneficial to society, and of course you've got to have money coming in to pay the rent and the light and the heat and the salaries and so on, but you're not there to underline the bottom line. Are you a charity? Charities in the UK have huge turnover. Some of the big charities have bigger turnovers than some of the major companies. Are you a limited company? In other words, limited liability. That means that if you do go bust, it's only the company that goes bust that you could still be alive. Whichever you choose, I recommend that you register it. Whatever direction you choose, there are official bodies to register with. A limited company, you can form yourself online, and business registration. I discovered how cheap it is. Sometimes it's less than £20 to record and form a limited company, or even a not-for-profit company. Slightly more complex to do a charity, but those first two, a limited company and a not-for-profit company, are very easy to form. If you are a limited company, or really even if you're a sole trader, you probably have to produce annual accounts. That's a pain, but you have to do it. And if you're a limited company, you have to return those accounts to Company House. And if you don't do it, they fine you, even because you're registered. Even if you didn't make any money, even if you made a loss, you still have to put your accounts into the bank, into Company's House every year. I noticed that what we are both, Phoenix Community Care, both a charity and a not-for-profit company, and we have to produce accounts for Companies House every year, and we have to produce accounts for the Charity Commissioner, so we have to do it twice. You need a business plan. So write down all your ideas and look at the things that you are going to do, and dream a little bit. Make the dreams as realistic as possible and put it down on paper as to, you need that for the bank manager, especially if you want to borrow some money. You need likely to borrow money sometimes to start a business. And elsewhere in my courses, we've discussed how we work on loans, and there are many different kinds of loans, and this probably isn't the place. So in your company, watch my round thing here. We need to set goals. Goals are strange things that pull things towards you. You need to do a bit of research. Why do I need to do this company? What's going on out there? Who else is there? We need money. Then we need to be telling people. It's no good having the best product in the whole wide world if nobody knows about it. And then we start to implement our program and our possibility, and hopefully make some money that you can be generous with. What should the business plan contain? Well, research, success of other kinds of products, the product, the performance, the profit, the competition, the teamwork, anything you can think of like that. Have a look at my little jigsaw there, and it gives you some ideas. It should reveal, the business plan should reveal your passion and your dream. And I find that lots of people do this, but for goodness sake, do not undersell yourself. You're probably great. Even if you don't think you are, you probably are. You need to show an expected cash flow. Do you know what that is? That's money coming in before it goes out. Now, cash flow, again, isn't profit. It's just money coming that you can use to pay other things. And you will hear this phrase if you start up your own business over and over again. People say it, cash flow is king. If you've got no cash, you can't pay anybody. Even if you're owed it, you still haven't got it. Have a look at what stage will you break even. Do you know what that means? When you're not losing so much money, you're not making a profit, but you're just about paying your way. Oftentimes in the UK, we used to say that it takes people a good 5 years to break even. That's a long time, isn't it? Plan. You have to plan, and you have to plan, and you have to plan. Okay, these are funny things and words that the business community uses all the time. They talk about a SWOT analysis. What on earth is a SWOT analysis? Well, here we go. What does it mean? It means you look in your planning at the strengths of your business and your idea and your product. But you also need to be realistic and look at any weaknesses that are there, and look at, well, it might not work if it's raining. I don't know, but you've got to look at the weaknesses. If you don't do that, you're not doing your homework properly. You also need to be, especially if you want to borrow money, you need to tell the bank managers, the loan people, these are the opportunities for this particular thing. And threats. What are threats? Well, threats could be there are people up the road and they're doing a better job than I could do. They're the competition, if you like. So we need to, that's a SWOT analysis. So we have to look at those 4 things individually and say, well, here's my strength, here's the weaknesses. And that if you're showing people weaknesses, it demonstrates that you've thought about it. It doesn't say this is impossible, this can't be done. It just says, I'm aware that these are the things that might catch me out. If you're talking about threats, that's not saying I'm not going to do it. It's saying I recognize these threats and I know how to get beyond them. Strengths of you and the company are what you do best. I think it's really great when people do things that they really love doing. My children, when they were younger, often used to say to me, Dad, you work too hard. And I'd say, no. I've never done any work in my life. I'm just having fun. So it depends whether you like what you're doing. I always feel sorry for people that go to work and hate their jobs. That's a shame. So try and find something that you really love. That probably will make you more money. What are your weaknesses? Showing them to lenders and bankers means that you know there are weak areas because you know about them and you will address them and you'll be dealing with them. What are the opportunities? Maybe it's a new product. Maybe we can be sure you can do this better in this area. Bankers will be looking to see if you've done any market research. Remember, I just said that. Is there really an opportunity for a newcomer in this business? Threats. Maybe you're in an area where it's intensely competitive. We've just opened a new particular project, and I was told, as people always tell me these things, no, you can't do that. And I was told the trouble is what you're trying to do, so many people are doing it so well, and the competition is there. We've been open now about 6 weeks. I'm overwhelmed with people taking the product. And you know, what's different? Well, I said, I've looked at all the other competition, the threats, if you like, the competitors, and I think that we're nicer to people than all of them. And that nice ones, and already in 6 weeks, we're getting nice. Thank you for treating us so nicely. We really appreciate the way that we've been handled. Those things make a difference. You have to take them into account, though. Okay, here's another one, one of those funny business things. SMART. What's a SMART thing? You need this in your business plan. The S is for specific. Consider who, what, when, where, why, and how in developing your goal. Be specific. If you're vague and have no vague ideas, then that's a problem. Measurable. Can you measure what you're doing? Sometimes money, I often hear people say that the Bible says the money is evil. The Bible doesn't say that. It says loving money is evil. The love of money is evil. Money is very useful. And I'm telling you, sometimes you can't be generous to people if you don't have anything to be generous with. So money is helpful and useful. Every year, and I've done it since, when did I start doing it? 1969, I started because I'd listened to a lecture actually on the subject of setting goals, measurable goals. And I remember sitting down just after I left college and writing in a folder. I've still got it from 1969. And I wrote down, these are the things that I want to see us achieve in the next 5 years. Sometimes I would think that was a mad idea and cross it off. But most of the time, those goals at the end of the 5 years, I could tick that, yeah, we did that, we succeeded there. So we still do it every year now. It's my responsibility to the company. I'm not the only person in the company. There's lots of people in the company, but every year I review what's called the business plan, and I look at the goals and say, this year we want to be at this position. Achievable. So I want to go and build my new house on the moon. Well, give us 100 years and maybe that's possible. But right now, that is not an achievable goal. So be sensible about it. Can I really achieve this? Now, it may be that lots of other people think you can't. But if you think you can, and you can see a way of doing it, and you can see the problems that you can stand off to see a bit further, then it's achievable. R, relevant. Is it relevant to our community, to the society? Make the plan concise, so clear that you are not trying to do more than the specific areas of the goal that the company that you have set up and you've put in. So is it relevant to our world? Time bound. Set a realistic deadline. I want this done by the end of the year. I want this done by 2 years. I want this done in 5 years. So set your goals and make sure that they are time related. I do notice that with some goals that time slips. You know, we think we can get there in 6 months and it takes 2 years, but that's life. But if we don't start off with the time bound area, you won't go anywhere. Okay, I hope you've learned a lot from some of these talks that we've had together on being an entrepreneur And remember us when you make that first 2 or 3 million. We're open for donations. Have a great day.